Good morning and a warm welcome to all. This is Dr. Shilpa Saman, an IQAC member of the MP College of Arts and Science. Today is the fifth and the last session of Conclave 3.0, and we are very happy to see that we have managed the Conclave 3.0 very successfully with wonderful presentations done by our students. Today, being the last session, we have kept five presentations uh, lined up with variety of topics. Our today's chairperson is Mr. Aurelino D. Oliveira. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Aurelino,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, Aurelino, Mr. Oliveira has been an external member of IQAC and also alumni of this college. I would like to introduce him to the audience. Mr. Oliveira passed his BA from Dempe College of Arts and Science in 2003. He did his LLB from B.M. Sagarkar College of Law in 2006. He has practiced as a criminal advocate in the High Court of Bombay at Panjim, Goa Bench. He has also worked as a member of Child Welfare Committee under Juvenile Justice Act and Children Care and Protection North and South Goa district at Apnagar, Merces for two consecutive terms, that is 6 years. Presently, he is serving as a presiding member of North Goa District of Consumer Disputes and Redressal Commission at Porvorim, Bades, Goa. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you,
As
madam.
I already mentioned, there will be five presentations, and I would like you to chair this session of today's. Over to you, sir.
A very good morning, dear students and other members who have joined for this Conclave 2023, which is the last session of today's. Today, we have the five types of presentation in various topics. First, we have artificial intelligence, animal assisted therapy, the significance of sign language, preventing depression among adolescents, and last, Sri Aurobindo's concept of integral yoga. So, I wish all the presentations and the speakers to present this presentation on their respective topics. It is my immense pleasure to join and to chair this today's last session of Conclave 2023. Thank you, madam. Now, I call upon the first speakers, Ms. Rachel Brito and Dravya Sawant from FY Biotechnology to present and begin with their topic. And their topic is Artificial Intelligence Imperative, a guide to upcoming developments. And their faculty mentor is Dr. Amara Begum Mullah. I kindly request not to ask any question in middle, but after the end of the presentation, please do. There will be a 5 minutes provided to ask any question on their presentation. So, please, Rachel Brito and Dravya Saman, begin with your presentation on artificial intelligence.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to all present in this meet. And we both from FI Biotechnology. My name is Rachel Brito.
And my name is Dravya Savant.
And we'll be presenting on AI. So when we speak when we speak of AI, the first thing that comes to our mind is like robotics and anything that happens with a machine. So in layman's language, when we say what AI is, it's basically a task that's designed by a human but that's performed by a machine that previously required human intelligence. Our topic is the AI Imperative, a guide to upcoming developments. Now, when we speak of AI in healthcare, the topic that I'll be discussing about, the first reason as to why AI is chosen in this field is because of how convenient it makes things to monitor and manage. It's accuracy. There's no human error that takes place, and its developments in pharmaceuticals. It helps in drug production because it's able to measure the dosage required. A few of its applications is what I'll be talking about today. So the first we have is AI dermatologist. So a gist of it is basically it's an app that scans any rash or any discoloration on your skin, and it helps detect as to what exactly could be its possibility or what it could be. The first one is a live course cardia. That's an ECG. So a live course cardia helps in detecting 5 types of arrhythmias. So is basically irregular heartbeats. So a signal in the heart does not function properly, you have arrhythmias. And this is a condition wherein constant ECG monitoring is required. So it's not possible to have it like it's not possible to be in hospital ECG recorded. So hence this medical device is able to monitor their heart rate and their heart rhythm at their own personal space or their home at home. Next up, we have is Spot tool. Now, the Spot tool is basically sepsis prediction and optimization of therapy. So most of the death mortality rate that happens due to sepsis is about 17%, which is reduced because of this innovation of the Spot tool. Now, basically, what Spot tool is, there's a ton of data which is fed in the algorithm, and it detects the heartbeat and the blood pressure of the body. So whenever it detects any possible sepsis that could happen, it what should I say? It helps detect it 6 hours in advance. Next we have is nanomeds. So nanomeds is basically nanotechnology. Now, nanotech is a technology that involves manipulation of atomic particles, molecules, and supramolecules. Now, when we speak of a nanoscale, it's basically a microscopic globular structure, exterior hydrophilic polar heads, and interior of hydrophobic.
There is some technical error. We'll just wait for 2 minutes till the error gets rectified, and we'll continue with the session.
Am I audible now? Yeah. Give a minute better.
Audience, please hold on for 2 minutes. We are working at it.
Can she present? No, it's
Apologies for the disruption. Um, so currently we are on nanomeds. So when we speak of nanotechnology, it's nothing but manipulation of atomic particles, supramolecular particles, and much more. So in specific, under nanotechnology, we have nanomeds. So these are basically a micelle structure wherein the internal part of the structure has a drug carried. So basically, this drug directly leads to the target organ and it releases the drug in a dosage. Whereas in the previous types of medicines, they were ingested by the body and it was absorbed by the skin. So that would reduce the dosage at the target organ. Next up we have is robotic surgery. So robotic surgery, it provides a unique assistance to surgeons. Now surgeons get an increased level of dexterity to operate in small spaces where usually an open surgery would be required. Now the reason why people prefer robotic surgery is because it's precise and it has less pain after, there's less post recovery pain, and there's less risk of infection and reduced blood loss. And the last we have is electronic health records, which basically helps to track down the data of each patient so that it's easily available to the doctors and they can diagnose the patient efficiently and with less of wastage of time. Thank you. Now I hand over to Dravya.
Good morning, everyone. Being a car enthusiast, today I'd like to talk about AI applications in autonomous vehicles. The role of AI in autonomous vehicles is extensive and expansive. AI can be used for anything, right from monitoring and managing vehicle systems to providing the passengers in car information and entertainment. AI in autonomous vehicles has the potential to provide the vehicle with the ability to make decisions for itself. And this can be done by improving the customer experience through conversational interfaces and personalized recommendations on the basis of their personal preferences. It also enables vehicle manufacturers to create a new and innovative product and services. It also helps humans to drive with more safety and efficiency, and overall, it reduces the cost of ownership. Mechanical learning algorithms and machine learning processes are responsible for making self driven cars even possible. But how do they actually do it? Well, machine learning allows the vehicle to detect the surroundings around it and collect the data and interpret the data. So by now we all know that autonomous vehicles do not require a driver to reach from point A to point B. The technology in and on the vehicle is the only driver present. The technology includes a lidar unit, a radar unit, cameras, additional sensors at the rear and the front part of the vehicle. A camera unit and lidar is also introduced at the roof of the vehicle, without which the vehicle would be potentially virtually blind. So, what is this term LIDAR and how is it useful? Well, LIDAR stands for light detection and ranging. LIDAR is actually similar to radar. But then radar does not use radio waves and it uses light waves, which are reflected back by the object, and thus the object gets detected by the lidar sensor. Now, the drawback with lidar is that it cannot recognize road signs. So that's when cameras come into picture. Cameras cameras use artificial intelligence to recognize these street signs and interpret what they're actually trying to communicate with us. But in foggy situations, both cameras and lidar are of no use. That's when radar is used. So, what is radar? Radar will actually prevent and warn about forward collisions and thus prevent it from happening. But what happens with radar is that radar requires really huge objects for them to be identified. So, if the consequences of this are that the person who is walking on the road, a pedestrian or cyclist, may not be recognized by radar. Now, the next problem which we face is that there are GPS and maps used for tracking the vehicle and its current position. So, if radar fails to check out on a pedestrian, the GPS and the digital maps already have a lot of information about where exactly the location is, about different divergence of cars, about intersection, about so digital maps are provided information, and auto is also for it will be very uncomfortable. Another problem which these vehicles will also face will be that these are actually computers on wheels, and so they cannot be trusted. So they cannot be trusted because they can easily get hacked and hijacked and used as a weapon. Another problem will be that Another problem will be that people who work as drivers for business people or some other personalities will face a major employment loss. And lastly, there is still more machine dilemma. The problem so the problem with autonomous vehicles another problem with autonomous vehicles is that we will have to make very ethical decisions, like in accident situation whether to save the passengers or to save the pedestrians, and these problems will be very hard to program, which will make it very difficult to actually bring these vehicles into the market. Next, I'll be talking about chatbots. So what are these chatbots? Well, chatbots are computer programs which use artificial intelligence and machine learning programs to understand customers' question and provide instant responses to their questions, thus simulating a human conversation. Historically, chatbots were designed in such a way that they could reply to only a limited set of questions and the answers to which were pre-written by the developers. But today, chatbots are much more advanced as they know much more machine learning processes and natural language processing, because of which they are conversationally very active. We can say that today's chatbots are contextually very aware, and the more they are exposed to human conversation, the better they get at their job. So, the chatbots I'll be talking about today are ChatGPT and Notion AI. So, what is ChatGPT? Well, ChatGPT stands for a conversational artificial intelligence, and the technology which it uses is generative pre trained transformer technology. It is usually made using advanced machine learning processes, and advanced machine learning processes. And what ChatGPT will do is it will have a huge neural network which will be trained from various sources like books, articles, social media posts, YouTube videos, etc. And thus the system will learn these sources and analyze this data. Today ChatGPT can also write entire code for making an app. How interesting and fascinating is that? Next, I'll be talking about Notion AI. Well, Notion AI is a feature of collaborative software and productivity. So, what Notion AI will help you do is it will help you write all kinds of creative work, blog posts, or repetitive works. So, how does it actually work? Is it will provide you a Notion page on which you can write your content, and it will also give you suggestions and insights on how to improvise your overall presentation or job description, pros, cons list that you're trying to make. Coming to the conclusion of our presentation, I'd like to say that AI can do anything. You name it, and AI will do it for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel and Dravya Savant. Any questions by audience? Please free be to ask.
Hello, so I had a question. Uh,
Yes,
why
please do.
are there any autonomous vehicles in India? And if not, then why?
Well, as of now, there are no autonomous vehicles in India, and there are various reasons for the same. Because if we bring autonomous vehicles in India, there are so many drivers who actually work in India, so they will lose their employment, which is one of the major reason. And another reason is Indian roads are not that well developed at this point, so these autonomous vehicles will critically fail in noticing potholes or people crossing the roads. So this will be a problem. So these are the reasons why autonomous vehicles as of now are not introduced in India.
Thank you. So I had a question.
Yes, please ask.
Are there any autonomous vehicles in the world? Examples?
There are many autonomous vehicles. Some are in the prototype state, some are even there in the market, but then they are not very prevalent because they are very expensive. And also, there are still many issues which people are facing in bringing them, because, as I said, radar can sometimes fail to detect human beings. So, it can lead to mishaps happening. That is why it is still restricted. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dravya, my question is to you. What are the disadvantages of AI? Is there any disadvantages for AI?
Sir, according to me, there are disadvantages of AI. There are many advantages as well, but when coming speaking about the disadvantages, humans tend to get very dependent on AI for even normal things. Like, suppose a student is asked to do an assignment, we usually just depend on any of the internet sites. We never try and read books. The same happens with AI coming up and giving technology like chat gpts. People will completely get dependent on these kind of applications for basic tasks. So that is why I feel that will be one disadvantage of artificial intelligence.
Okay. Now the most of the your projects has been done by through Google, not by visiting any places. Anyway, is there any questions by audience, or we'll move to the second presentation? Okay. The second presentation is on the topic animal assisted therapy. The speakers are Ms. Arya Shetye and Mr. Zelviga Rodriguez, and their faculty mentor is Professor Suchana Amonkar. Miss Arya and Zelviga from first year BSc Zoology. Please begin with your presentation. Arya.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Elvega Rodriguez, and my partner and I are going to be talking on the topic animal assisted therapy. So, what is animal assisted therapy? It's a type of therapy wherein animals are involved. The main goals of animal assisted therapy or AAT is to improve a patient's social, emotional, or cognitive functioning. There have been many studies conducted which shows positive effects of this therapy on subjective self-rating scales and also on objective physiological measures such as blood pressure and hormone level. Moreover, this therapeutic method can also help people heal and rehabilitate from any acute or from most of the acute or chronic disease that they may be suffering from, which we shall be coming to later. So, a brief look upon the history. Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychoanalysis, introduced the idea of animal assisted therapy. During many of his sessions, he had his pet dog named Joe Fi present. He noticed that during the presence of Joe Fi, the patient found it very helpful as they would see that their speech would not disturb or shock the dog. This reassured them and so it encouraged them to relax and confide. This was most effective when the patient was a child or adolescent. Another use of animals long back in history was by Dr. Boris Levinson in the year 1961. Levinson accidentally used animals in therapy with children when he had left his dog alone with a difficult child. And upon returning, he found the child talking to the dog. So, what animals are used? The mostly any type of animal of any gender, size, or breed can be used. Horses are used a lot for children with disabilities like cerebral palsy, autism, or Down syndrome, and also for people with special needs. Therapeutic riding as a riding lesson is specially adapted for people with special needs. And it has also been approved by the American Speech and Hearing Association as a treatment method for individuals with speech disorders. Cats and canines are the main animals that are used in pet therapy for people with anxiety, nervousness, difficult treatments, depression, and mainly for children who suffer from ADD, ADHD, or emotionally trouble. It has also been noticed in ADHD patients that when cognitive behavioral therapy was used, there was not much effect. But when cognitive behavioral therapy along with animal assisted therapy was used, there was was huge number of symptoms which were reduced. But then again, this treatment wasn't in the long term; it was only for a short period of time. Elephants have also been used in some parts of the world for children with disabilities. This has been seen in many zoos. The child learns discipline and concentration in order to form a bond with the animal so that the animal will cooperate with the child. In many areas, guinea pigs, fish, rabbits, miniature horses, and birds have also been used. Pigs named Thunder and Bolt have been used in the hospitals of Florida, where they have been used to put a smile on the patients' faces. So, what all are the processes to become an AAT pet? Well, firstly, the animal must be people friendly, be controllable, and well trained to handle all possible contingencies that can come their way while treating the patient. They have to come with training and education. By an organization which must not only give ongoing education to the pet but also to the trainer and must provide liability insurance to the pet and trainer. They have to have appropriate immunization for rabies and various other diseases, regular screenings, and also a well authorized AAT license. If the pet manages to pass the training test, it must participate in a compulsory probationary course of AAT, which is mostly for 3 months before the trainer and pet can visit patients alone. So, for whom is AAT used? It is mostly used for persons with psychological or who are psychiatric handicapped, children with learning language or behavioral problems, those who are visually impaired. I'm pretty sure we've heard number of cases where blind owners have where blind people have pet dogs who guide them wherever they go. In diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia, having a presence of dog is also noted to have reduced the number of symptoms. In autism, AAT makes children calm, reduces anxiety, irritation, increases positive mood, and they can also serve as a social catalyst. That is, in their presence, children are likely to make social interactions. Horse riding also shows a positive impact. And since dog is a man's best friend, they, they have been known to help people during depression and loneliness. This kind of therapy even allows for easier rehabilitation after a surgery or a severe accident, and also in the case of post-traumatic stress disorder, where, where in the olden days the army veterans would keep dogs. Because of the presence of dogs, they would have less panic attacks, less chances of waking up from nightmares. And in the case of sexual assault and rape victims, the presence of guard dogs makes them feel safer and protected. However, it can be beneficial for anyone who feels that they need it. Now, handing over to Arya.
So let us have a look at the type of animal assisted therapies. So basically, there are 7 main types of animal assisted therapies, which include the canine assisted therapy. Uses the dogs to improve the physical and mental health of the patient. It is also used to relieve distress in cancer patients undergoing treatment for pain. The equine assisted therapy. It is a highly specialized form of therapy that involves working in collaboration with a horse. In this session, you don't actually ride a horse, but instead you carry out tasks such as feeding, grooming, and leading the horse. It is also used to cure disabilities like cerebral palsy, autism, or Down syndrome. The dolphin assisted therapy. It is a type of swim with dolphin encounter that is used for people suffering from mental or physical disorders as a form of treatment. The goal of the therapy is increasing speech and motor skills in patients. The bovine assisted therapy. It uses cows to improve the mental and physical health of the patient. Cow cuddling is believed to promote positivity and reduces stress by boosting the production of hormone oxytocin. The rabbit assisted therapy. The companionship that the pet offers is a great way to reduce anxiety and stress. They help people to live mentally healthier lives. The bird assisted therapy. Birds such as parrots and turkeys are used in animal assisted therapies. They help children learn empathy and nurturing skills. They reduce depression and enhances the outlook. The elephant assisted therapy. The therapy program is composed of activities such as buying food for the elephant, feeding the elephant, and bathing it. It also reduces fear.
Yeah, we're back. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let us have a look as to how the animal assisted therapy session is done. The animal assisted therapy session can be integrated into individual or group therapy and with a wide range of age groups and person with varying ability. The presence of the animal facilitates a trust building bond between the therapist and the patient. The animal relieves some tension and anxiety in the therapy. It is a fun interacting session for the patient as well as the animal. The patient talks to the animal while the therapist listens. The animal helps the patient focus on an issue as they interact with the animal. The animal helps the patient get in touch with feelings. For the patient, the animal is seen as a friend. The animal offers nurturance through a presentation of unconditional acceptance and interaction. The experience of a client interacting with an animal can provide knowledge about boundaries and limit setting by observing and imitating the therapist animal interactions. So, moving on to the advantages of animal assisted therapy. It reduces anxiety and hypervigilance. It increases engagement and retention and the ability to take multiple perspectives. It enhances empathy and compassion. It provides biofeedback to improve mindfulness. It increases the physical activity and reduces blood pressure and also the ability to communicate clearly and consistently. It increases a sense of control over self and the environment. Lastly, coming to the disadvantages, there are a very few disadvantages of animal assisted therapy, and here are they. So, the animals may transmit some infection or disease if not in proper health, and some patient might be allergic to the animals. Thank you.
Good, Arya and Zelviga. Any questions by the audience, please? Any question? Audience? Okay. Uh, Arya, I have a question to you. Some of the doctors know they advise the patient, especially the elder ones, like aged people, to keep an fish aquarium in the houses. Why? What is the purpose of it? Is the fish therapy also helps the human being?
Yes, sir, it definitely does.
How can you just elaborate and tell us? Like, we are not examining you, but I bit inquisitive to know about it.
So, it is visually beautiful, right?
Okay, so that beautiful mix. Okay, I do understand. Okay.
So,
Any questions?
observing the beautiful
Yeah,
fish
yeah.
in the aquarium tank, like
Okay,
it calms the mind.
okay. Thank you. Okay, so we move to
Thank
the
you, sir.
third session. Yeah, we move to the third presentation. That is on the topic the significance of sign language. The speakers are Miss Sanjana Kakodkar and Miss Isha Palkar, and their faculty mentor is Dr. Palia Pandit. They are from TYBA from English department. Sanjana, over to you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, teachers and students. Welcome to Conclave. My name is Sanjana Korgaonkar. I'm a TY English student at Dempe College of Arts and Science, Goa.
And my name is Isha Palkar. I am an English honors student at TYBA level of Dempe College of Arts and Science. The topic that we are going to be presenting today is the significance of sign language.
Humankind has been using sign language to communicate with one another long before spoken language was even invented. Matter of fact, We use sign language in our day to day lives without even realizing it. Have you ever done this? When you wave hi or bye to a friend, or when the class is really loud and noisy and the teacher says shh, and the class becomes silent, or when we pretend to think of an answer in an exam. Yes, all of these are signs that we use in our day to day lives. Therefore, today, through this topic, we wish to convey and highlight the importance of sign language as well as the reasons why we should be learning it.
India is a vast country, with its population being the highest. Therefore, it is safe to assume that India also has the largest percentage of mute or hard of hearing people. According to an article published in the Indian Journal of Otology, the number is somewhere near the range of 63 million individuals. This means that there are 63 million individuals in India with whom people like you and me who do not know sign language are unable to communicate with at all. Therefore, it is important for us to learn sign language in order to facilitate communication with our own citizens. It also makes life easier for mute or hard of hearing people. Despite of the several struggles that the mute or the hard of hearing people face, their everyday struggles can be reduced significantly by using Let us look into the reasons for learning sign language. India is a vast country with the population being the highest. However, it is also safe to assume that India has the largest percentage of mute or hard of hearing people. In an article published in the Indian Journal of Otology, the figure was somewhere near the range of 63 million. This means that India has 63 million individuals with whom people like you and me who do not know sign language are unable to communicate with at all. Therefore, it is important for us to learn sign language in order to facilitate communication with our own citizens. Next, it also makes life easier for the mute or hard of hearing people. Despite of the struggles that the mute or the hard of hearing people undergo, the everyday struggles can be reduced significantly by the means of sign language. Sign language helps them to communicate with their fellow mute or hard of hearing people as well as other people. It also helps them to put forth their needs and wants effectively, thereby making them feel significant in this big world. Next, it also aids in social inclusion. Most often than not, the people belonging to the mute or hard of hearing community suffer from crippling self esteem issues. However, by using sign language as means of communication can boost their self esteem and they can acquire education with the help of that and which will eventually aid in social inclusion. Next, it also breaks language barriers. India is a vast country with several languages spoken throughout the country. However, the communication can suffer interregional difficulties or interregional disparities, which is why sign language can be handy in this case, which helps to break all language barriers. The other areas in which knowing sign language can be beneficial include 1. Talking underwater, where verbal communication can be rendered useless, or having a private conversation in public space where verbal communication seems difficult. Interestingly, a scientific study points out to the fact that infants and toddlers pick up signs and nonverbal cues as well as gestures faster than verbal cues, which helps them to communicate effectively with their parents.
Alright, let's say you guys decide to learn sign language. Well, here are some tips to help you learn sign language in a much easier manner. Tip number 1. Make use of facilities available. You can learn sign language at a school that teaches sign language near you. However, if that is not possible, you can make use of online sites such as signlanguage101.com and schoolofsignlanguage.com in order to learn sign language in the comforts of your own home at your own pace. Tip number 2. Learn commonly used phrases. Of course, learning any language from scratch can become extremely burdensome. In that situation, you can learn some commonly used phrases in order to facilitate communication and make the entire process much more easier. Tip number 3. Make use of body language. Sometimes just using signs to communicate can become difficult. In this situation, You can make use of body language and your expressions to convey what you feel and what your thoughts are. And finally, tip number 4, find practice techniques. If it is difficult for you to learn the language by yourself, get a friend to join you. You can test one another and make the entire process much more fun. Also, you can also join online forums and support groups on apps and sites such as Facebook and Reddit to make the entire process much more easier and find people that learn sign language as well. Moving on, let us now learn some common signs that are used in sign language.
The first sign that we will be learning today is the gesture of saying hi. For this, hold your hand up in the air, bend your thumb inwards, and gently move your arm across from your temple in an outward direction. This means hi. Sign number 2 is the gesture of saying bye. For this, hold your hand up, make sure that all your 5 fingers are spread across, and simply wave. This conveys the message of bye. Sign number 3 is thanking somebody. For this, hold your hand up with your thumb bent inwards and gently place your hand at your chin. In an outward direction, move it. This means thank you.
Let us learn some other signs as well. Try to say sorry in sign language. To apologize in sign language, use your fist, clench it and make a fist and rub it across your chest. This means I am sorry. Of course, make sure to have an apologetic expression on your face as well. The next sign is my name is. To ask someone or tell someone what your name is, simply say my, and for name, use your hand, take 2 fingers and drag it down your wrist. Therefore, my name is. To sign your name, you will have to sign each letter and each sign that is assigned to a particular alphabet. And lastly, we are learning are you all right and I am all right. To ask someone if they are all right, point to them. Are you all right? Are you all right? And the answer to this is yes, I am all right. So point to yourself and 2 thumbs up. I am all right. Okay, I hope the signs were easy for you to follow.
Thank you, Sanjana. That brings us to the end of the presentation. Fortunately, times are changing and people are becoming more vocal about the importance of sign language as well as the representation of mute or hard of hearing people in popular culture. For instance, Marvel created a character called Makari who was belonging to the hard of hearing community who used sign language to communicate with other superheroes. Similarly, Silent Voice, which is a Japanese anime movie that has several awards to its name, also portrayed a hard of hearing character who used sign language to communicate with the fellow characters. Therefore, it is now our duty and responsibility to take an initiative to learn sign language and preferably incorporate it in our education system. Thereby, all of this will contribute in making this world a better place for all of us to live in harmony and communion. Thank you. These are our references.
Good. Sanjana Korgaonkar and Isha Palkar. Good presentation. Audience, any question, please? To Sanjana and Isha. Okay. Now we are moving to the fourth presentation. And this fourth presentation is very, very interesting, at least according to me. And the speakers are Miss Aisha and Lobo and Miss Harshita Sina. And their faculty mentor is Dr. Mukta Karam Madi. They are from TYBA Psychology Department. And their topic is preventing depression among adolescents. Dear the speakers and audience, this is very, very serious topic. And we know how the depression and where the depression leads to the human being. It is said that suicide is not abominable because God prohibits it. God prohibits it because it is abominable. So let us very carefully listen to the presenters and the speakers who are presenting this topic. I call upon Aisha and Harshita, over to you.
A slight change. My colleague, something came up, so she wasn't able to be here now, Harshita Dayal
Okay,
Sinha. So
okay,
I'll be
okay,
presenting.
okay.
Okay.
Over to
So
you.
a
Go
good
ahead.
day to yes, sir.
Yeah, start. Begin.
A good day to one
Start.
and all present here. My name is Aisha Ann Lobo. I am from TY Psychology Honors, and I'll be speaking on the topic preventing depression among adolescents. Here are the contents I'll be speaking upon. Here's Let us understand first what is depression. Depression, also known as a psychiatric disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood and or loss of interest in pleasurable activities, causing significant distress and impairment in functioning. Apart from these core features of depression, individuals also experience changes in feelings like sad mood, feeling empty, inability to enjoy any activities, hopelessness, feelings of self blame, loss of self esteem, irritability, guilt feelings, changes in behavior and attitude, general slowing down, apathy, neglect of responsibilities and personal care, psychomotor retardation or agitation, inability to concentrate, suicidal thoughts, feelings, or behaviors, difficulty making decisions. Physical changes would include sleep disturbances, lack of energy and fatigue, loss of appetite, weight gain or loss, headaches and backaches, chest pain, stomach aches, or indigestion. Multiple factors contribute to the onset of this disorder. Biological factors such as genetic influence, the depression gene being passed down the family generation after generation, abnormalities of hormonal systems, neurochemical factors, brain activity, as the amygdala, which is in the emotion regulating center of the brain, which makes us take impulsive decisions or engage in actions deemed dangerous, such as drinking, smoking, etc. As the cognitive regulating section of the brain, that is the prefrontal cortex, isn't developed fully during this age, psychosocial factors like stressful life events, personal, interpersonal conflicts, for example, fight with your friends or partners or family issues, etc. Lack of social support and social skill deficit. Depressogenic schemes and dysfunctional thoughts. An individual may think of themselves as a failure or so on. A recent study done in adolescents, a prevalence of depression is quite high. The year 2020, the study was done in, consisting of 6,000 adolescents ranging from age 10 to 19 years, revealed a 10.7% of prevalence rate of depression. The results are quite concerning and can impair their lives. Next, we move on to the causal factors of depression among adolescents. Adolescence is a period of significant physical, social, and emotional changes. These changes can make adolescents more vulnerable to depression. Hormonal and physical changes. There are various changes which takes place during adolescence, which could lead to having body image issues. The individual won't be satisfied with their body or may face body shaming as well. Academic pressures would involve students being burdened by the demands of time and energy to achieve specific academic goals. Family conflicts could be having to deal with the negative situations in your family, social or peer pressures, being bullied or being trolled by society or colleagues, social isolation, being cornered or an individual being left alone. Issues with identity development. Adolescents are trying to figure out their role, their aim, or purpose. Unhealthy lifestyle would include lack of exercise, indulging in unhealthy eating habits, or sleeping for less hours. It may also include substance abuse and so on. trauma and life stresses. Traumas could be like breakup, an accident, or any negative situation in your life which has left an impact on you and various life stresses. The survey results. A small survey was conducted to assess the lifestyle patterns, social media usage, and the feeling of depression among adolescents. A total of 138 adolescents participated in this study. Please note, this is not a clinical diagnosis of depression. In the 138 responses received, we see astonishingly concerning figures. 51% of the participants report to be feeling depressed. 22% of the same have expressed to have thoughts of self-harm or suicide. More than 60% of the participants reveal to be feeling overwhelmed, stressed, sad, hopeless, or in a constant state of worry or anxiety lately. Taking into consideration the lifestyle factors, we observe that 43% of the participants in average have had inadequate amount of sleep, have skipped breakfast, and aren't regular followers of a balanced diet. 57% of the participants admit to not engaging in physical activities such as exercising, etc. The good highlight of the survey reveals that 66% of participants have never consumed alcohol and 94% of the same have never smoked. Looking at the social media usage facet, we observe that 49% of the participants feel they are addicted to social media. 39% of the same have reported of using social media for about 7 to 8 hours per day. 34% of the participants state their self-worth and happiness have lowered due to social media, 18% of which have reported being bullied or humiliated on social media. The facet of cognitive emotions, when observed, reveals to us that, on an average, 50% of the participants have feelings such as nothing is going right in their lives. They face trouble concentrating on making decisions and have a strong feeling that everything is their fault. Similarly, 60% of participants on an average have revealed in their responses that they have been feeling irritated or angry more often and have frequent physical ailments like headaches or stomach aches, a constant feeling of tiredness, and have lost interest in things they used to enjoy previously. In the major stresses of life graph, we see the top 5 reasons being: reason 1, academic issues at 73.9%, reason 2, a tie between financial and body image issues at 35.5%, reason 3, issues related to health at 34.8%, reason 4, issues related to friends at 29.7%, and reason 5, issues related to intimate friendship at 20%. As we have seen above the various factors which contribute to adolescents being prone to depression, here we will be looking at the coping strategies. There are several measures that can be taken to prevent adolescents from developing depression. Encourage healthy habits, promote positive relationships, provide emotional support, monitor social media use, teach coping skills, seek professional help like therapists or counselors, and so on. Depression is a mood disorder which can be treated. Here are some of the treatments which I'll be putting forward. Psychotherapies like CBT, that is cognitive behavioral therapy, or interpersonal therapy. And as we have heard in the previous sessions about animal assistant therapy, that could also be a part. There are various therapies like art therapy, drama therapy, and so on. Medications could also be involved, antidepressant drugs to be taken. For the summary, I would like to conclude that, as the survey has revealed, many adolescents have been feeling depressed and anxious, and they are experiencing overwhelming stress. So it is very important to build resilience as well as learning coping skills, encourage healthy habits, provide emotional support, monitor social media use, or even seek medical help. Yeah, a reference. Yeah, and the thank you slide.
Thank you, Aisha. Any questions from audience, please? We are running short of time. Any question, please? Okay, now we move to the last presentation of this event, Conclave 2023, session 5. And this presentation goes like this. To enter into relationship with God is yoga, the highest rapture and the noblest utility. There are relations within the compass and of the humanity we have developed. These are called prayer, worship, adoration, sacrifice, thought, faith, science, and philosophy. There are other relations beyond our developed capacity, but within the compass of the humanity we have yet to develop. Those are the relations that are attained by the various practice we usually call yoga. These are the words of Sri Aurobindo, and he says this is the significance of prayer. So our last presentation is Sri Aurobindo's concept of integral yoga, and the presenter or the speaker, Mr. Mihir Manoj Choprekar, and faculty mentor, Dr. Roshida Rodriguez, first year BA Philosophy. Mr. Mihir, over to you.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to present on Sri Aurobindo's concept of integral yoga today. So before I begin, I would like to give a brief introduction of Sri Aurobindo. Aurobindo was born in Kolkata in 1872. He was sent to St. Paul's School in London by his father in 1885. In 1890, he passed the civil services examination, but after the prohibition period, he was disqualified for the service as he failed to present himself at the riding examination. Next. He was acting editor of the daily Vande Mataram, which was closed down in 1908. He also wrote in journals Karma Yogini and Dharma. In 1907, he was prosecuted for sedition and was acquitted the same year. In connection with the Alipur conspiracy case, he was kept in Alipur jail as an under trial prisoner for about a year, and thanks to advocacy of Chittaranjan Das, he was acquitted in 1910. During his internment in Alipur jail, he had a religious experience which caused a major change in his outlook. In a vision, he saw the Spirit of God all around him and he heard a divine message. Later, he started a philosophical monthly named Arya and commented on Vedas, Upanishads, etc. Arya was closed down in 1921. He met Tagore in 1928 and passed away in 1950. So, what does Sri Aurobindo claim? He claims that human evolution is in its intermediate stage in evolution of being, which is in its way to the unfoldment of spirit and the self-revelation of divinity in all things. So, according to him, unassisted natural evolution would take centuries, many births. Hence, Sri Aurobindo integrated all his yogas and gave us the integral yoga and suggested the grand program known as Saptachatya. So, what is yoga? Basically, yoga means union with God. It has an aim in itself, one or the other, of two great ends, either the abandonment of world and departure into some supracosmic reality, or some form of limited perfection, knowledge, bliss, or mastery in the world. There are many yogas, spiritual disciplines, paths having separate aim and paths towards liberation and perfection of being. So integral yoga takes up all of them in their essence to arrive at unification. Only in essence and not in detail. So it aims at highest totality of spiritual realization and integral transformation of the nature. So now we'll be looking at why it is called as supramental yoga. So there is a dynamic truth consciousness beyond mind. It is what we call as supermind or gnosis. For mind is or can be a truth consciousness in its inherent nature. because its original stuff is not made up of knowledge but of ignorance. So now we come across inversion, which is the first step of integral yoga. In this step, the first manifestation of spirit in the process of inversion is as Ananda. Sat meaning truth, Chitta meaning mind, existence basically, and Ananda meaning bliss. So then it as the super mind, the intermediate link between the higher, which is the spirit, and lower mind. Lower mind in the sense matter, life, and mind. So in this process, the extension of spirit, that is absolute, takes place to create the universe of separate forms. Being manifests itself as a multiplicity of form, meanwhile becoming lost in the inconscience of matter. Next is in evolution, which is the reverse process of involution. In this process, spirit rediscovers itself as spirit, and it follows a development trajectory from the original inconscience of matter into life, to mind, and then to spiritualized mind, culminating in the supermind or truth consciousness. Now, evolution is said to be teleological since a developing entity contains within itself already the totality towards which it exists. Then it is not mechanistic or deterministic teleology. Why? Because manifestation of all the possibilities inherent in the total movement. Next, now we'll be looking at why his epistemological and ontological considerations are not considered. Supramental consciousness is as intrinsic as the everyday consciousness. Now, what is supramental consciousness and everyday consciousness is what we are going to look next. Also, it also differs from the Vedanta philosophy, which states that Brahma, that is Jivatma, is alone the ultimate. So now we come across the three beings. First one is the outer being. So there are three levels of subconscious, which include physical, corporeal, and mental. These are the characteristics of everyday consciousness and everyday experiences. Then we have something called as the subliminal being or inner being, which includes the inner realm or inner aspects, and it is larger, subtler, or freer. And it is the transitional phase between surface consciousness or surface, that is outer, and inner consciousness, that is psychic consciousness. And it is much larger compared to the everyday consciousness and everyday experience. And finally, there is something called as psychic being or the innermost being, which includes higher mind, illumined mind, intuitive mind, and overmind. So central being is the same. As psychic being. It refers to the transcendent and eternal spirit as opposed to the incarnate and evolving soul. So it presides over the different births, and one after the other, but is itself unborn. So, unlike other yoga practices, integral yoga does not propose. Yes, yes, sir.
Nothing.
Okay. Unlike other yoga practices, integral yoga does not propose any kind of physical asanas like breathing techniques or external movements. It is more of a kind of psychological stuff in nature, with internal reflection and self-analysis, along with correction as main tools of development. So it is being divided into four main types. First one is divine work, that is yoga through one's work. Then, sorry. Then we have something called as integral knowledge, which is through analysis, observation, and knowledge, followed by divine love, that is commonly referred to as bhakti yoga or love of God, and finally self perfection, which is referred to as synthetic yoga or triple way. Next, we have triple transformation. This is basically the process in which the lower nature is transformed into divine nature. It consists of inward psychicization, by which the sadhak gets in contact with the inner divine principle or psychic being. What is psychicization? It is basically turning inwards so that one realizes the psychic being, that is the psychic personality or divine soul in the core of one's being. It may also help avoid the dangers of the spiritual path. However, there is an intermediate stage which is followed by the psychicization, where there is danger, where there are dangers associated with. So now we are going to look at psychicization. So basically, it is being divided into three parts, or it consists of three parts. First one is the consecration, in which one opens oneself to the force before engaging in any activity, followed by concentration, that is, moving to the depth from surface consciousness to the deeper existence within. And finally, we have something known as the surrendering, where one has to offer one's life to the divine force. Guided by the evolving divine soul within, the sadhak moves away from ego, ignorance, finiteness, and the limitations of the outer being. Then comes visualization, which is the result of psychicization. Light, peace, and power descend into the body, transforming all of its parts, that is, physical, vital, and mental. This is the spiritual transformation or spiritualization, the consecration of the larger spiritual consciousness, and it is equivalent to the enlightenment as found in Vedanta and Buddhism. So, intermediate stage. So, in this stage, the sadhaka may be falsely interpreted, and there are associated dangers, basically because the sadhak might get misinterpreted and stop his sadhana due to the fact that he might be under the impression that all the truth is being witnessed. Then is the supramentalization, where the birth of a new person takes place. A supramental species would then emerge, living a supramental, gnostic, divine life on earth. So here on the screen, you can see the yogic siddhis which are acquired by the sadhak. First one being is the Brahma, that is realization of Brahma. Then comes knowledge, that is knowledge of past, present, and future is acquired. Then we have something called as Sharira, that is liberation, being free from gravity and physical powers. There are various gods who have these powers or siddhis called as Ashta Siddhis, like Lord Hanuman and Lord Ganesha. And then we have something called as karma, that is divine work, followed by Atma Prasad, contentment of Atma, and finally the power of primordial energy. With this, I would like to end this presentation. These are my references. Thank you. Good.
Very good, Mr. Mihir Chopraikar. Any questions from audience, please? We are running short of time. Audience? Okay. So, any questions? So, we are winding up today's last session of Conclave 2023. Okay. Excellent, dear students and the speakers who had presented today's presentations. It's really, I have no words. Very, very useful for all. Keep it up, dear students. And I wish you very happy and successful bright future of your academic year. To Ms. Rachel Brito, Dravya Sawant, Arya Sheth, Zalvika Rodriguez, Sanjana Korgaonkar, Isha Palkar, Aisha Lobo, Mihir Choprekar. And with this, I end up with the beautiful words of our late, who was our former president of India. He said, black color is sentimentally bad. Black color is sentimentally bad. But every blackboard makes the student's life bright. So I wish you a bright academic life. Thank you. Over to Madam Dr. Shilpa Samant.
Thank you, Mr. Aro. It was pleasure having
My
you
pleasure.
as a chairperson of this particular session.
My pleasure,
Uh,
madam.
I would like to I would like to convey thanks from IQAC of the MP College of Arts and Science for accepting our request to be a chairperson of this session. Your
Thank you
comments,
once
your
again.
starting comments, your questions showed your interest in each and every presentation which was done today.
Thank
And
you.
we are proud of you. And one more thing I wanted to say to the audience that Mr. Oro was one of the person who is a member of external IQAC who actually suggested to have conclave as an every year event. So thanks to you, Mr. Oro.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, madam.
congratulations to all the presenters for their wonderful presentation and a confident presentation too.
Thank you.
There is a feedback link which has been uploaded in the chat section. Please fill the feedback in order to get your certificate for today's session. Thank you.
I just would like to have the students who had joined for this session. I was expecting more political, like we know today what is happening in political, what is our current affairs. So I respect especially the political science department of Dempi College just to encourage and motivate their students from their political department or philosophy also to come up with such topics on political issues like freedom of speech and expression. There are today's day to day and also economic too of our nation, how to develop economy and how to control the economy. So let us have such type of topics next year for Conclave 2023 and also history too. Okay, today so much is happening in history, archaeology, as well as I mentioned earlier, political and economy. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion, Mr. Oro. We will keep in mind for the next
My yeah,
conclave 2024.
yes, madam. Yeah, especially
Thank you
economics.
for all your support. Yeah, sure, sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.